Welcome back. Now I want to bring in our panel to at least start off here talking about all things New Jersey, Bridgegate, Christie, Menendez, Port Authority subpoenas, a lot to get into. Bill O'Reilly, Republican strategist, Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, that's Dominic on the end, and Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. All right, where to begin here? We know how the feds work in many different ways. We also know how these investigations took 2 years before they brought the indictments against Menendez. But on the Bridgegate stuff, Dom, are you surprised that now finally they seem ready to bring the indictments? And now they seem to be even broader than just about the bridge. Apparently we're talking about corruption here, payoffs, bribery, etc.
Not surprised at all. Oftentimes we pundits want the feds and prosecutors to jump like that. But realistically, it doesn't happen like that. It takes time to investigate. And so it's rather ironic that the same office that catapulted Christie into becoming a gubernatorial candidate and thus governor is the same office that at the end of the day may start the beginning of the end. Doesn't look good for Christie. The bully routine almost worked. It almost worked for him, disguised as a new refreshing approach, but it caught up to him. It doesn't look good.
Well, we'll see how it plays out, but I think one of the things, without a doubt, that the consequences, and we saw this bill in the budget and the shenanigans that he criticized of predecessors on this with the pension payments and everything else. He seems like the same act that we've seen in Trenton before, and that was his whole thing, that he was different than all the other predecessors, that he wasn't going to, you know, do the Ponzi game here with the math, that he was going to be straight up front with everybody. He was going to lay it out the way it is. Now we see how his office, and nobody thinks it happened in a vacuum with Bridgegate, and now you're hearing additional allegations that there might have been money changing hands, not directly about him, at least as we know, but nonetheless, the veil of that he was this new guy with a new routine, the shine's off that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a lot like New Jersey politics.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? Here's New Jersey politics again. That's exactly right. You're going to get the law enforcement guy that was going to come in, call it as he sees it. He was going to be the no-nonsense reformer, the sheriff, the whatever you want to call it. And here we are again. I mean, there's got to be a lot of people not sleeping well in Trenton this week.
And it's not just about Bridgegate, as we said, Andrew. It's also about with the Port Authority. You know, the more and more we learn, it's always a stupid little thing. It's like the Samson private flight down to South Carolina and stuff. They had a name for it. It was so prevalent. The chairman's flight. Exactly. And there's more as goes into the Port Authority. Now the Exxon settlement. You know, was this really the best deal that Jersey could have done, or were there favors? Even if some of the stuff isn't legit, it fits in this macro that it's kind of dirty again.
It does, and so many of the allegations, we have to wait and see what the feds come down with, but so much of it is just vanity or personal gain. I mean, put aside the Exxon settlement, because I think Christie did that for political advantage, just so he could have the flexibility to offset some of these deficits, and he could manipulate that money. But the sweetheart deal for the vending at One World Trade Center, which may or may not be a part of this,
Jerry Jones,
Jerry Jones and the Yankees, this Legends group, which is, you know, comes right after we see him bouncing up and down in the owner's box trying to hug Jerry Jones during one of these Cowboys games.
Yeah.
And
doesn't look right.
And the chairman's flight, it's all like, I want these offices just so that I can get the benefits, the luxuries, the opulence that comes with it. It's the worst reason that people get into politics, and you hope that there's that hug, that awful hug with that awful sweater. Oh, yeah. And you get a concession at One World Trade Center.
Hug me, Jerry, hug me.
It's just all the wrong reasons that we hope not to see in our politics anymore.
People have so much hope in their government, but they're flawed people in there. I mean, people that get, and a lot of people don't understand in politics, you've got flawed people that come in there,
but, you know,
get the jobs.
Flawed, but my only thing was, he had a whole thing, and this isn't year one, right? This is now year 5. I know some of this happened before, but still, he had his whole routine that predicated that it wasn't like same old Trenton, that he was different, and that, you know, he was going to tell it like it is. And you know, Dom, these town halls, I know you've always been a skeptic on them, okay? And I drank maybe a little bit more of the Kool-Aid than you on it, but it worked, okay? And even when he got in trouble before, what would he do? He'd have the town hall meetings. He'd wait for somebody to test him, and then he'd throw an overhand right, and then they get into it. It made for good TV. People liked it. In a blue state like New Jersey, his approval ratings were always north of 50, sometimes way above it. Now, even after, as I was talking to Alfred, the latest try with this, it's not working. Now, do you think it's not working because there's just too much bad news to get around, or is it they're not working because people are tired of the routine and tired of seeing them in New Hampshire and Iowa?
It's a lot on his plate right now, and the fact of the matter is, Richard, it may always seem to work for a while. Again, I'm going to keep saying this. He's not the first one to do it. He's a bad copy of Rudy Giuliani, and it didn't work for Rudy Giuliani as well, because the day before 9/11, no one wanted to be associated with Rudy Giuliani, and that's the same situation that Chris Christie is almost finding himself in now.
I also wonder if perhaps people are losing their taste for that in-your-face style of politics. I mean, it was fun for a while, but even like looking at cable numbers, I think people want a little bit more substance, especially with the potential for a sea change in 2016, whether it's going to be Hillary or a Republican.
Yep.
And I think people are looking for more substance and less shout, less theater. I don't know if anybody else is getting that sense.
You know, I don't know if it's connected. I don't think so. I think there's other reasons, but it is interesting in the other story, and I think the person rooting for indictments more than anybody is probably Menendez, because he's off the front page. But to that end, Senate Republicans have been very quiet here. Is it because they said, hey, that could be me, or they like the fact that this senator's been going after this president?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing. I think it's because he's going after this president. They like him on Israel. They like him on Iran.
Cuba, too, yeah.
And I think just the fact that there's, whether there's any validity to it or not, there's some question about whether the Justice Department is picking on Menendez for political reasons. May not be. They may have a great case against him. But I think for those reasons, the Republicans are taking a step back. I mean, I don't think it kills them to watch him fighting with the president.
But find me any elected official that hasn't gone to bat for a friend or for a campaign financer.
Doesn't look right.
Not like this. Yeah. Not like this.
But it happens to such a degree, whether it's this nakedly, depending on what we see in the indictment.
It stood out enough, and you know this, right? The people in different cabinets were like saying, why is the senator reaching out directly to us? The guy's not even from Jersey. He's from Miami, and he was always, Melgen always had a rep. He didn't do it once. He did it on multiple occasions. And then there's $700 grand worth of checks that went to not just the senator, but Democratic, campaigns and everything.
Yeah, but I also think that one of the reasons Republicans are holding their fire on this is a sense that if this sticks on Menendez, you could theoretically make a case against almost anybody. And I think that may be one of the reasons why they're staying back.
All right. When we come back, we're going to switch gears, and it's a story we talked about last night with the attorneys on our legal panel here, but we're learning more details as to that tragedy in South Carolina. Caught on camera, man killed by a cop, shot in the back here, even though the police department appears to have done everything right in the aftermath of the shooting. People are still protesting as we speak, and many people are saying this is the final straw. Are things going to get worse here before they get better between cops and communities of color?